Hello everyone, welcome back. So we discussed a lot about consumer and how we are going to use the consumer and everything, right? So let's open the consumer and see. So as we discussed, consumer method is a functional interface and it has a accept method and it takes a single parameter. And we have a default method which is nothing but and then method, right? Because we have seen a consider person example, see and then everything we have seen, right? Okay, but have you noticed what is the return type of accept? Void. That means your consumer functional interface. Okay, it will not return any data. It's just a void. Okay, it will process some data and it will do some operation. That's all. It won't return anything. That is the important thing which we missed in the. We should have covered it in the beginning, but anyway, just make sure consumer will not return any return data. Okay. Okay. So now what we are going to do? Okay, we discussed about consumer. So similar to consumer, we have another consumer which is by consumer. Okay, that is pretty much similar to consumer only, but the simple difference is the by consumer it will accept two parameters. Okay, and again by consumer it's part of a consumer and it won't return any data. Okay, let's create a simple example and see how the by consumer is going to work. Okay, let's create a new class. So I'm going to name it as a by consumer example. By consumer example. I need a main method. Okay, finish it. Okay, okay. So let's discuss how the by consumer method looks like. Okay, let's copy paste the consumer or consumer example. Okay, this is the syntax of consumer. Okay, let's check the by consumer. By consumer. So by consumer. So as we said, it will accept two parameters. So we can say string or better we can use integer, and the second parameter also integer. So consumer, we can come on this one, consumer 1. Okay, so we are going to apply some body here. So as I said, as we discussed earlier, the lambda expression, the first close and open brackets indicates the input parameter. Here we have two input parameters, which is nothing but by consumer of integer, and another one is also an integer. So let's name it as a comma b. So this particular a belongs to this integer and this particular b belongs to this particular integer. Okay, so and the token, what is the operation which you are going to do? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just simply add these two numbers and I'll display the data. Okay, just put a sysfo here. So and print a plus b, just give us a name here, add, add. So now this is how by consumer syntax looks like. Let's open the by consumer interface and see what are the methods are available. Like consumer, it has its own methods, right? Let's open and see. See, by consumer, it's again a part of consumer. It will has the same accept method and then method. The functionality is same. Accept will going to be accept two parameters, and then method is using the multiple conditions. I mean multiple consumer check. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is let's try to pass some inputs to the consumer and see what is the outcome of it. So consumer 1 dot accept 10 and the second parameter is 20. We all know that. So what is going to be outcome of this? So because 10 plus 20 is equal to 30. So let's see it in the output window. Just right click and Run this. Okay, what is happening here? Okay, so this is the problem. We need to provide in the open and close brackets. Just run it again. See, now you got the proper data, right? So the by consumer, it's similar to consumer. The only difference is it will accept multiple parameters. Either it's a by consumer or whatever the functional interface may be, consumer or predicate or function. Everything has a by function. I, I mean to say everything has a multiple parameter functional interface as well. For example, if it is a consumer, it has by consumer. In case if it's a predicate, it has a by predicate. In case of it is function, it has a by function. We are going to discuss everything in upcoming videos. Okay, let's try with some other examples. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a two list here. Okay, list of integer. So list one equal, sorry, array list integer. Sorry, we can please arrays.asList. So new integer of 10. Copy. So let's have three parameters here. So implement the, import the iterate list. So now we have a list one which has a three elements in it. Okay, let's create another list, list two. So we can have only two here. So basically, I'm going to write another by consumer which will take two lists as an input, and it will check whether both lists contain the same number of elements. I mean the size. Okay. So I'm going to create a by consumer here. By consumer which will accept the list of integer. Both of them are same. List of integer, and this is going to be consumer number 2 equal. So what is the functionality which you are going to provide here? So I'm going to provide two input parameters L1 and L2. Like L1 belongs to this, but the first parameter, L2 belongs to the second parameter. And the body, the token. And we are going to give some explanations to the body. So what we are going to do? I'm going to check whether the list 1 and list 2 contain same number of elements. Basically, I'm going to check the size of the list. So write a condition if L1 dot size L1 dot size equal to L2 dot size, then so return true. Got it? Okay. Else, so what I want to do, false. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm passing these two lists to a consumer which will check whether the both list contains same number of elements. Okay, let's try to pass some data to the consumer too. Consumer do dot accept list 1 and list 2. So now let's run this and see what is going to be our outcome. Before running this particular example, let's check what is the probable outcome, because I know the first list contains three elements and second list contains only two elements, so obviously it's going to return the false, right? Okay, let's run this and see. Run as Java application. See, it's written the false, right? Okay, so now we know how the by consumer will work with the help of the lambdas and also the method which we used, accept method, because we know that there is another method and then. So how we are going to do that? How we are going to use the and then method? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to comment everything here. Let's write a simple operation. I mean, kind of business logic. So the case I'm going to write now, I'm going to have a three consumers. The first consumer is going to do the add operation. Second, subtract, and third is going to be multiply the data. Okay. So we can simply use this as well. Okay, just copy and paste it here and name it as a add consumer. So this is remain the same. So let's copy this and paste it again. So the first one is add consumer, second one is subtraction consumer, and third one is multiplication consumer. So here add subtraction and here it's going to be multiplication. Okay, so here minus and here the multiplication. Okay, so how we are going to run this in a straightforward way? I'm going to run this consumer dot accept. I'm going to pass two parameters 10 and 20. We know that the outcome is going to be 30. Let's run this. See, I got 30. Okay, let's use sub consumer, or I can write a, let's call all of them. So I'm going to use the sub consumer and multiply consumer. Okay, let's run this. See, the add returned 30 because 10 plus 20 is 30. Subtraction 10 minus 20 is a minus 10. And the multiplication 10 into 20 is equal to 200. Okay, just see the implementation, what we have done here. We run three lines. Each one indicates which consumer is going to be execute. We can make it simpler. Just comment everything. This is where the and then methods comes into place because it sequentially run the consumer which we are passing. Okay, first one, what I'm going to do is add customer dot and then and another customer, sorry, consumer. So sub consumer and another consumer, and then so here is multi consumer, and then we need to accept the parameter we need to pass. The same 10 and 20 I'm going to pass it here. See, the implementation is, how simple is that? Okay, let's run this. See, we got the same data, but the implementation is more efficient, right? Okay, so we know that how we are going to use the by consumer and what are the ways we can handle it. There are a few things which you need to keep in mind. Just make sure you are passing two input data, okay, and processing the two inputs, and it won't return anything. Okay. Okay. So in the next video, we are going to continue the by consumer example, but we are going to use our person repository. I mean, we are going to use our DTO to do the operations. Okay. Thank you.